and to ensure that this entire pilgrimage goes on peacefully. But the Supreme Court has decided that the stay on this controversial order by the Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand governments will continue, which directs eateries along the Kanwar Yatra route to display names of the owners and the staff. Noting police could not enforce this and at most can only ask them to display food items. In fact, the Supreme Court had made it very clear that what is the need for them to have issued this order to display the names of the owners when they could just show the menu up front and, inform the carvers about the food that they're serving at the respective restaurant or eateries. Ananya is with us. Ananya, so the big news coming in that the court has decided to continue its interim order. Is it because it was not satisfied with the justification, with the response that was given by the Uttar Pradesh government? Why has the court decided to continue with the interim order?
Avantika, the reply that was filed by the Uttar Pradesh government came a little late to the court and it could not go through that particular reply. Though Mr. Rohatgi pushed that, this is a law that mandates, display of the owner's name and identification on a particular shop. But at this particular juncture, the court granted time to all the councils to actually file their replies, because remember that the state of Uttarakhand and the state of Madhya Pradesh also stated that, they needed some time to actually file a response to this particular petition. So the court has now given a week's time to them to actually file this particular response, and then the Supreme Court would be hearing this particular matter. But at this particular juncture, the court has said that, this particular order cannot be forced on. However, if any shopkeeper wants to, display that particular name, that is not something that cannot be done. They can do it, but they cannot be forced to do it. It is something that has been stated by the Supreme Court very clearly. This was, remember, a two-judges bench of the Supreme Court headed by Justice Rishikesh Roy, which had basically stated that, at this particular juncture, the interim orders have been extended and the hearing will take place in the next few days from now. But at this point, the Uttar Pradesh government coming strong with its reply that, this is something that has been done for a greater transparency, for a reason that, people might know as to what they are eating and from where they are actually eating that particular stuff, because since they are, on a Kanwar Yatra, which is said to be one of the most pious, rituals in the Hindu religion, and that's exactly why, this should be done. In fact, the UP government also goes on to say that it is not discriminating amongst anybody, and it is for the transparency that this has been done, and very clearly and categorically, this is the stand of the Uttar Pradesh government. Now we'll have to see as to what would the Uttarakhand and the Madhya Pradesh government would be saying with regards to this particular legislation, this particular diktat that has come in, and we'll have to wait and watch as to how things pan out when it comes to this whole diktat that's been passed by the UP government, then followed by the Uttarakhand and the Madhya Pradesh government as well.
No, so has this interim state been extended because the Supreme Court hasn't had enough time to read the detailed response from the Uttar Pradesh government? And just, seeking more information from you, have the other governments, Uttarakhand and Madhya Pradesh, also given their reply and their justification for issuing this order in this first place? Ananya, if you can hear me, is the Supreme Court the reason behind the decision to extend the interim stay? Is it because they needed more time to read the justification, the reasoning from the Uttar Pradesh government? Has Uttarakhand and Madhya Pradesh also given their response?
Well, definitely. The Uttarakhand government and the Madhya Pradesh government are yet to file their response, and for that, the Supreme Court has granted this week's time. And since the affidavit reached the Supreme Court also pretty late and it was not on record, for that purposes, the Supreme Court has adjourned this matter for the next few weeks. And, the time has been granted to the Uttarakhand government and the Madhya Pradesh government to file their responses. And also, time has been granted to the petitioners to file a rejoinder to the affidavit that's been filed by these three states. And very, interestingly, Mr. Rohatgi and the counsel for the Uttarakhand government had been constantly saying that, there is a central law that exists which actually mandates the, the display of the owner's name on a particular shop, and not only the owner's name, but the photo ID of the owner is also to be displayed. If you've seen, other shops as well, that is something that is a mandatory law, under the law to do so. However, this diktat has been stayed by the Supreme Court of the Uttar Pradesh government. Though a complete stay has not been granted, it's an interim stay, and it has been stated that, if at all somebody wants to display the name, that is perfectly okay, but it cannot be forced onto anybody, is what the Supreme Court had stated. However, what is very, very clear is that the nature of food that is being served has to be clearly mentioned, because these are pilgrims who are on one of the most holy rituals of the carrying out one of the most holy rituals of the Hindu religion, and that's exactly why the nature of food is something that the people should actually know what they're eating.
The UP government is saying that the idea behind the directive was to ensure transparency, to ensure peaceful pilgrimage. Now, in the interim, while the court is still hearing the responses of the Uttar Pradesh government and yet to receive the response from Madhya Pradesh and Uttarakhand, what are the directives that have been issued to these owners of the restaurants and eateries for serving meals, for serving food to the Kavadiyas?
Well, definitely, both these governments are yet to file their response. The Uttar Pradesh government, though, maintaining very clearly and categorically at this juncture that, this is done for a larger transparency. And not only, this is done for the Kanwar Yatra, but similar directions are issued whenever there is, in fact, festivals of Eid or various other festivals as well. The UP government is conscious of the fact of the secularism that exists in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And, it also goes on to say that the diktat does not violate any kind of a constitutional principle and is, to maintain a law and order situation and peace and tranquility in the state. And that's exactly why, the UP government actually defends its diktat that has been there. And following that diktat, the Uttar Pradesh government and the Madhya Pradesh government too had, issued similar directions. So what happens next, whether, the Uttar Pradesh government, the Uttarakhand government and the MP government would be able to convince the court with regards to the same or not, is something that is a matter of time. We'll get to know when the Supreme Court again hears this matter.